Welcome back, everyone. Go Talks. Today I have a special guest, OTG Stiffy, a real Ottawa legend and staple. Thank you so much for popping out, bro. Really appreciate you coming out and really excited to get things going on the podcast. I'll be honest, usually for my guests, I have things prepared, but for you, I specifically did not prepare anything because I want us to have a genuine conversation. Most people don't know, but Stiffy and I have history together. We've worked on many songs together, ever since my old days with Ray Beats. He was one of the few artists that really gave me a chance. So I really do appreciate that, broski. And thanks again for coming out to the platform.
Thanks again for having me.
So yeah, fam, what have you been up to these days? What are you doing? I know you're just dropping a track now. Did you drop it already, or is it coming out soon?
Are you talking about the one with Chevy?
Exactly, yeah.
No, I haven't dropped that one yet. Still deciding.
Are you deciding if you want to drop it in general, or are you deciding on a date?
When are you dropping this interview?
As soon as possible, to be honest, probably next couple days.
I don't know. It might be dropped before you drop this or after, right after.
Okay, either way, please tell the people, name of the track, and I personally want to know, what was the inspiration behind this track, and what did you go for when it comes to the image and the sound.
Can you repeat the question?
So, what was it that you were going for with this track in terms of like the image and the sound?
I don't know how to answer that. But I don't plan my music. I don't really plan my music. I just typically go in with a concept in my head, but I have usually nothing written for it. So I usually go to the booth and I experiment with different types of sounds, and this song was the best sound that came out that night.
Very respectable. I know every artist kind of has their own workflow and style, and not a lot do it like that, but that is one of the most creative and genuine way to make music. So that's super proper. I did take a listen to the preview you posted, and it sounded very good. I'll be one of the ones checking that out for sure, putting it in my private playlist. But have you been work? Is this the first song with Gigi Chevy?
No, we've made a couple of songs together, but the one that's already out is called Honest.
How's the solo OTG journey been? Has Is it different than when you guys were a group, or is it pretty much the same thing? Music is music for you.
It's funny you say that because there was a time period where it was phasing out slowly, not because there was any animosity between me and Reese, but because we caught a case together and it was a lot harder for us to communicate because it's against the law, and I follow the law very honestly. So I couldn't link up with Reese at any convenient time like how it was before. But things turned out for the better. The case did drop and everything went well. Yeah, we kind of already got used to not seeing each other as much.
So it's kind of like on its way to happening before it officially happened.
Exactly.
So you were kind of taking that direction already, type thing. Yeah, okay, okay. So with that being said, because OTG for years was always known as a group, what made you keep the name OTG instead of just going with Stiffy or doing your own thing, even by name?
It's funny you say that because OTG in itself built a little bit of a brand in Ottawa. At some point, we were selling merch and we had fans buying.
And under that brand is Goat Studios too. I don't know if a lot of people know that.
No, not a lot of people know that.
Even before I got involved in the Goat family, Goat was, super affiliated and associated with OTG as a brand. But that was again in its earlier stages. And just to paint a picture for the audience, can you tell us a little bit what that looked like at that time period in terms of like even forming as a group? What was going through your guys' head? Were you involved in any production with the music videos, anything like that?
It all started out when Reese approached me. He liked my song, and he didn't essentially ask us if we wanted to be a group. He just kind of assumed we already were, and I just went along with the flow. And I ended up fucking with Reese Bear as time went on. Now, rest in peace, Tony was one of us, but
Yeah,
unfortunately, yeah, the circumstances.
for sure, bro.
And then we happened to meet, well, I'm not sure if he wants his name mentioned, but we met someone who was heavily involved with the camera. And I remember at the time we couldn't really afford our own music videos. So we just kind of learned the game. And then we kind of actually made a name of ourselves as videographers prior to making a name of ourselves as rappers.
Yeah, I do remember that. And even personally, I was confused because I remember like you guys were dropping like high quality videos for other artists as well as yourselves, but there was not really anyone taking a claim to it. So that's, I think, where the confusion was. But the whole time you were also involved in those productions?
Yes,
Okay, what was your role?
I was mainly the editor.
Okay, so you know how to edit videos.
Correct.
Damn, that's what's up, fam. And crazy that you say that because now I actually remember speaking with Reese, he did mention that, and I'm pretty sure he told me that you were one of the best editors that he's ever worked with personally, you know? So you're
Yeah,
good
when
at
I
what you
try.
do. Yeah, when you try.
Yeah, when I try.
For sure. Maybe you can give me a couple pointers.
For sure.
So I know that you guys were also really known for, and that's how I met you personally, for the shows that you guys threw in the city because you guys were bringing artists out that no one else could even think of bringing out. So can you talk to us a little bit about that process and even tell the audience a couple of the artists that you brought out?
It's funny you say that. I didn't even think you knew that. Yeah, the first artist that I've ever brought, well, I used to record at J. Creole's studio a lot,
Okay.
and we've developed a friendship at some point where it originally transitioned to becoming business partners in certain business ventures. And one of those was promoting concerts. And so I remember Reese was in Libya at the time, and I used to know Frenchie's old manager
Okay.
from a job me and him used to work at.
Okay.
I never knew he was Frenchie's manager at the time, but me running into him in the future, I realized, oh, he is now managing an artist named Frenchie who is popular. So I talked to him and I said, let's make something happen. J. Carroll had originally pitched the idea of doing a show, but we just didn't know where to start. And I guess I was lucky enough to stumble across his manager that day because I brought it up to him. He said, yeah, let's make something happen. I don't know if he thought I was serious or just bluffing, but I did ended up making it happen with the help of J. Carroll and Reese when he came back from Libya.
Okay.
And the first show was a complete success. Like I went in with a blindfold, and I did not expect it to be that successful. To be honest, my first show I'm promoting is sold out.
Okay. Okay.
So aside from being a good business venture, I also realized it was a great way to build connections. So I ended up knowing more and more artists. One concert will lead me to another, especially the reputation. You know, the guy comes to Ottawa, he gets treated very well, has good things to say about us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So eventually it led to Houdini. Janie was there too. Rest in peace to Houdini.
Yeah.
That was the second show. Third show was Bizloke. Free up that guy.
Yeah. Free Bislow.
I ended up bringing Frenchie and Pengs again. Pengs when he got out of Hapsi.
Was that the recent one? The one that was,
Yes,
yeah.
if I'm
Okay.
not the last. So yeah, there was Pengs and Frenchie, and then there was Lil Brett with Young Smoke,
Okay.
and I guess that was my last show. And then Jake Real has continued to promote shows
Okay.
while I have discontinued to do so.
Okay. Is there I mean, obviously you've seen a lot of success in it, big names that you've brought to the city.
I have, yeah. The reason I stopped is has nothing to do with Jake. If anything, Jake Real is the best partner you can have in this.
Okay.
The reason I had stopped is because I have other business ventures that have been more successful,
Okay.
and so it's better to put my focus on one or two that are being successful rather than four or five.
Of course. Yeah, no, that makes sense. You can't do everything all at once
You
and
can't
yeah.
chase two rabbits, you know?
Yeah, 100%, bro. That makes a lot of sense. So I'm just trying to go through this timeline right now. When you were bringing these artists out, were you establishing a connection with them also for your artistry, or was it just popping them out for the show? You made your bag and you guys parted ways.
It's a little bit of everything. I mean, I jumped into the music scene. I didn't want to just understand how to rap, but I wanted to understand the entire music scene. So, like from the recording process, I would say that's beginner rappers, you know. They would understand it from the recording process to buying the beat, the stems, and whatnot. I wanted to understand the full scope of it, and I understand that I still don't understand the full scope of it. But it's just what intrigued me. And the reason I had to take a little break from all the music business ventures is because I ended up just missing being an artist. You know what I mean? I have other business ventures that are currently more successful that I was able to put a pause and just take a step back and realize that I should solely focus on just being an artist.
And good thing you did. You're dropping great music. Again, you're one of the staple names in the city now. Very well known artist. Great. So big ups for that. Not sure if the audience knows this, but again, um, the whole OTG clan was a huge reason why I even got my first placement. I got on stage into one of the biggest shows at the time that I was a part of, and like all that value that they brought to the city. There was obviously hard work, sacrifice, and a lot of planning and coordination that went into that. So, I feel like the audience, a lot of them that don't know you, just see you as an artist, but don't know that there were years and years that went behind all that, to get to where you are today. So, that being said, one of the tracks that I want to ask you about personally is we have a track that we were supposed to drop with Casper called Win. Are we still doing that, or is that long gone, broski?
It's unfortunate, bro, because there's many reasons why it's long gone. Um, Again, unfortunate circumstances and situations. So number one, Casper, prior to uh, prior to him going to jail, he he didn't get the chance to send me the stems to his vocals, which is a big problem because even it was on your beat and your beat tags were still being played out while Casper's vocals were being played out.
Oh, okay.
You
Yeah,
see
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, not professional.
Yeah, not professional. Also, I recorded that song 6, 7 years ago. My vocals were definitely not like up to today's standards, and I was definitely not as good as I am today. So all attempts of re-recording it, well, I couldn't even solve the problem of the stem situation, and it just didn't work out. I ended up selling the hook.
Yeah, we'll see if when and if that ever comes out, but definitely something I was excited about.
I
That
know. I'm
that being,
sorry, bro.
nah, it's all good, bro. Trust. We were all now, got tracks with bigger artists, but obviously at the time that was huge for me. But moving forward with your own sound and music, you mentioned that 7 years ago was a lot different than now. Personally, I've noticed that your sound is kind of a combination of two sounds that you've had in the past. You used to rap and you used to sing with auto tune, like, but it was drowned out auto tune. I feel like now you have kind of a mix between the two where you're rapping, but there's some auto tune on it that complements it really well. Can you walk us through how you discovered your sound? What you, if you're still doing either or
It's funny you say that. I don't even know. I didn't even notice that that's my style now. I just kind of gradually got better and better as the years went on. And I would never notice how much better I had gotten until a year would pass and maybe I'd revisit some old songs. Just kind of cringe a little bit at myself from before. But no, I never really like understood what my style is, and I still don't really know if that's even the sound I'm gonna be sticking with.
okay.
At the end of the day, I'm just evolving with the music game itself.
Now, what are the next steps for you now? Like, are you trying to hone in on the craft all the way? Are you trying to be more performance based? Like, from what you've done, you have like a catalog now. You just want to tour and perform for people. Like, what is it that you're going for?
I'm sorry, bro. I, I I couldn't hear the second half of the question. Can you
Oh,
repeat
it's
it?
okay. So what are your goals now? Like, are you still working on building a catalog, or is it more you have your catalog down and now it's a matter of like going on tour and like performing?
It's a tough question because I ask this question to myself too because it's getting to a point where I'm not really looking at music as a way to make it out, let's say. I'm not dependent on the idea that I'm gonna make it out off music. I think I'm gonna be make I think I'm gonna be making it out off a proper business venture way faster than I'll ever be able to make it off music. And the way business is going right now, I'm expecting high returns in the near future. So to even sacrifice my business venture for the music, that wouldn't be a smart business decision. Both of them are risks, but the risk that's being more successful right now is the business venture.
Yeah,
Do you see what I mean?
yeah.
So I'm purely seeing this music thing as a hobby. At the same time, I am taking it seriously. So when I do release something, I try to my best to not release anything mediocre. You see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I try to go all out on the music videos. I try to show my lifestyle, what I do. I talk about what I do, but I still keep it on the low. So I'm just trying to be as authentic as possible.
Okay, broski. So you mentioned that music for you is a hobby, not so much a way for you to make it out. And you do other things as well that financially support you more. What kind of advice can you give artists coming up that do use music as a way to support themselves? Is it realistic that they can just use their music as a way to make it out? Or do you recommend that they have another hustle that will support them and their music career? Or should they put all their focus on crafting the perfect sound?
That's a very good question, actually. I always tell this to artists, and I'll always say it again. I don't think you should. Don't make music when you're broke, and don't go broke making music. And you're an engineer, right?
Yeah.
And you make beats, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you like dealing with broke people?
No, not at all, bro.
So right then and there, you basically told me that you dealing with broke people has burnt bridges where you wouldn't want to work with a broke person again. So just put aside how good the music is. If the person is just always broke,
Yeah,
he's gonna tarnish his reputation right away.
for sure. Yeah.
So there's no point of going into this with like, how do I say this?
Without the funds, the capital.
Yeah, without
Yeah.
the funds, the capital. I mean, this is an investment at the end of the day. If you just
Yeah.
go there and you don't have bread, you're gonna half-ass everything. You're gonna rush your studio time. You know what I mean? Studio's expensive. Buying the beats, you're not gonna be able to buy the beats. Shit's gonna get taken down when you release it. You know what I mean? You need money in this,
For
unfortunately.
sure.
And one out of maybe every 10 songs is gonna be a banger.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're gonna go through a streak of 6 months and you don't have a single good song to promote. So again, like let's just say the average is one out of every 10 songs is something that has potential to be released.
Yeah.
Then right then and there, that's at least $1,000 of studio time.
For sure. Yeah.
See what I mean?
100%.
And like when you're just getting started, you need to release a bunch of singles. No one's gonna give a fuck about your album. So
Okay.
you have to keep releasing singles until you gain somewhat of a momentum, somewhat of a buzz. So prior to releasing an album, you're gonna have to focus all your money into one song at a time.
For sure. And it's crazy that you said that because if you look at the history of hip hop, early 2000s to be specific, they weren't doing it the same way. I felt like they focused more on the project and used singles to promote the project almost like a sample. But seems like the game has switched now with the singles, you know? Now, you doing music almost 10 years ago. Was it single based as well, or is that something you saw more now?
No, 2016 it was still single based, I would
Okay.
say.
Okay.
But now, it's less single based, more content based actually.
Okay, so tell us
So
about that.
yeah, so like I think in 2016 you could I mean you could slowly pull off the hey, I have good music, but I'm not quite there yet with my image type of style.
Okay,
But nowadays, like your image matters more than your music. People have to like you before they like your music. Because, like, I'm not the best rapper out there. I'm pretty sure there's a million other perfect rappers out there, right?
okay,
Perfect musicians that have better bars than me, better melodies, but they'll never get discovered
sure,
because they don't have the image for it. So, in order to portray your image, I have to be releasing content such as this podcast right here.
for sure.
Do you see where I'm
Yeah,
going with
yeah,
this?
yes, sir.
And people have to understand and know more about me than about my music.
And then the music is kind of like a
The
byproduct
music is
of
a
that image.
byproduct of me, of
Okay,
my image.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
See what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know so many artists with good music,
Okay.
but their image is not there.
Yeah.
So that's why nobody will ever give a fuck about them.
Wow.
How many times do you hear someone say, "Oh, this guy's capping"? You know what I mean?
Very.
Like, yeah, like yo, his music could be sick, but if he's capping, who's gonna listen to him?
Because even if you look at bigger artists in the States, I personally am not a big fan of certain styles, if I'm being honest. Like musically, it doesn't really hit the ear nice, but still, they manage to get hundreds of millions, and people really listen to their music. And if you look into it, it's their personality. Sometimes their voice or the tattoos on their face, there's a certain thing they're giving to these people that they want to see, and the music has become secondary now. Back then, when they used to drop an album, they used to sell shirts with it. But I feel like now the music has become equivalent to the shirt. Now, touching on what you were saying earlier, would you say that having an investor or getting money, regardless of how you get it, is a prerequisite for artists? Should they handle that before tackling the music? How should they go about it nowadays?
I mean, getting an investor is fine, but someone will always know who's your investor, and word will spread out. So if you're out here saying that you're getting this money this way and that way, and you're hustling in the streets, when the whole time everyone knows who's investing in your music, people are gonna catch on and they're not gonna respect it.
Okay.
However, you could have an investor and just be honest. Like people really think that they have to lie in their music. They really don't. You
Okay.
know, if you're just truly honest with yourself, especially on the mic, people will fuck with you.
Okay.
You have to find the right people that will fuck with you. Sorry, what was the second part of the question?
Before I ask it, I just want to say that was a great answer. I didn't see it like that, but I see exactly where you're coming from. Just be who you are, whether you have an investor or not. Don't be shy to call it as it is. But the second part of that was, what advice do you have for artists in this situation? They're trying to make it as an artist, but they don't have money.
I would never recommend anyone to hustle by any means, you know?
Okay,
Like someone that has it good doesn't have to hustle by any means to get it.
sure, that
You
makes
know what I
sense.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But it doesn't mean he can't rap. And if he doesn't have the money to start rapping, well, number one, like okay, I'm gonna change the scenario a little bit.
Sure.
If you're too embarrassed to talk that you have an investor, or if you don't have money, and the first thing you rap about when you're standing on the mic is that you have money, and this is if your foundation is built off cap, you better manifest your cap.
Yeah.
You better have,
Okay.
because if you don't, then it's not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah,
So if you're talking about getting money, then you better get yourself out there and start getting money.
for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now let's just say that you're completely broke, and you're not trying to hustle, and you're just trying to talk about how you're broke and trying to make it in your music, and you're not capping.
Yeah. Okay.
One sec, I'm thinking
Yeah.
thinking of the answer. I forgot the question to begin with.
Honestly, I feel like you pretty much covered it, but just to recap, for artists that are just starting out, you should do it in your own way that makes sense for you. And I think it's not just about the money, it's also about the rap cap that might be in the rap songs. You're not living that life, and now you just look like a phony. Funny enough, most of the times they will get tested by people who are actually about that life, and they get exposed, and there goes that image that you mentioned earlier. Now, you're one of the best doing it out of the city in terms of your image. Your production's quality is on point, your photo quality is on point, and your strategy when you release your music is also on point. So it's clear that you found your own way, and for upcoming artists, you should use Stiffy as an example. Study the new methods that you should aim for because the game has changed. So the next thing I'm still trying to figure out is what's next for Stiffy. I know you said you're taking it day by day, but what can we expect from Stiffy in the future?
I don't even know the answer myself, bro. Like, you can expect good music, good quality music videos, but do I have anything specifically planned out? I actually don't, because again, what I have planned is specifically for my business. I'm gonna keep growing my business. And the more money you have in music, the more money you have outside of music, the more money it'll be easy. Sorry, let me repeat that. The more money you have outside of music, the easier it'll be to blow up off music.
That makes sense.
You see what I mean? You'll get the prop as you get rich, you'll meet other rich people with better connections. 90% of the game is connections anyway.
You heard it here first. Go Talkz, a big gem for all the upcoming artists that are listening to this podcast. Now, let me ask you something off topic before we wrap this up. You're one of the few artists that decided to conceal their identity. Is that something you find hard to manage? Like to be a completely different person with the mask on. No one really knows you. Do you ever feel the need or want to claim credit for the success you've seen in music? How do you plan on managing and dealing with this now that you're starting to gain attention from your work?
There's multiple reasons why I think a rapper should wear a mask. One of them personally is you don't incriminate yourself with what you say. You do keep your identity concealed. I mean, if you know me, you know me. You know what I mean? If like you know how my face looks like, right? You know what I mean? Like I could tell you a lot of people know how my face looks like. It's not so much that my face is hidden from people, it's just hidden from the public. So like, let's say I'm doing a couple of business ventures, right? Let's say I do very good in my business venture and I happen to meet an investor, let's say. I don't want to mix both worlds together. If he sees my music videos without a mask on, he's gonna realize, oh, look at this guy, look what he's talking about. I shouldn't do business with him. It's not smart because as soon as your face is out on the internet, it's publicly out there forever. So I'd rather just keep at least my face hidden from the public.
Now, one good example, and I actually seen you making jokes on Instagram last week about him, is M. Honcho. He's a successful artist who wears a mask to conceal his identity even after he blew up. But eventually his face did get exposed, and it really only takes a moment to be caught lacking before the whole thing is ruined. In your situation, when you do get super viral, do you think you'll be able to maintain that, or by then it doesn't even matter because you've achieved what you wanted?
I don't really care by then. Cause like even M Honcho, like yeah, I seen that video you're talking about where his face shows, but ask me right now if I remember how he looks in that video. I really don't. Because it's not a recurring thing in my face for me to remember. I have to research that video again to remind myself of how he looks like. So let's just say you and I were strangers and you saw a video of me without the mask on. If you were to stumble across me 6 months after you seen that video of me with the mask off, you probably won't even remember because it's not something that's always shown to your face. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So if somebody has a video out there of my face and wants to expose it, like I really don't care, to be honest.
Let's hope it doesn't get to that, broski. But I definitely see where you're coming from. So I think I got all the answers that I was looking for. And after this conversation, the audience knows more about you, more about what you do. We tried getting a preview for what's next, but we now know that you're taking it day by day. But even doing it like that, you've reached the level you're at today, which is very respectable. Now, before I let you go, I want to give you an opportunity to give one last message to the people, an advice or some shout outs. The stage is yours, broski.
Best advice I could give anybody is to stop lying to yourself. That's it.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Goat Talkz Stiffy. Don't lie to yourself. Stay true to what you do and who you are, even if that means getting an investor. Do it with your chest out, and that will result in more genuine relationships that should manifest into opportunities instead of trying to cap your way out. Stiffy, bro, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again for popping out on the platform. I really do appreciate that. So now it's time to record our freestyle.